A number of years ago, I was helping my uncle do some work on the roof of his house, and I vividly remember watching my uncle take a step back, step back, step back, step back, until he took one too many steps back and he fell backwards off the roof and broke his collarbone, which was not an easy thing to go through. And to my uncle, if you're watching, I'm sorry for bringing it up. I know that's not an easy memory. But it's one of the reasons that God had one of the laws in Deuteronomy chapter 22 that he did. It was the first liability law in history, as far as we know, where God set the rule that if you were doing some work on a house, that if you're doing work on the roof of a house, you had to put like a barrier around the roof so that if anybody fell off, nobody would get hurt and nobody would be able to blame anyone for that happening. In fact, in the first half of that chapter, it's a whole lot of things that shows that God really, really cares about what happens to us, and not just us. At the beginning of that chapter, he talks about if you happen to find your neighbor's ox or donkey or some other animal belonging to your neighbor, make sure you take care of that donkey and get it back to him. Or if you happen to find an ox or a donkey or another animal that's just wandering around that obviously belongs to someone, but you don't know who it belongs to, take that animal into your own home and care for it until you can figure out who the owner of that animal is and you can reunite them. In that chapter, God shows, well, he commands just very wonderful care for people and for animals. And it's such a cool reminder of how God cares for you. Because throughout Scripture, God uses some of the same language to describe how he will always care for you. You know, look at the birds of the air, Jesus said. God cares for them so well on a day-to-day basis. And how much more will God then care for you? Look at how God cares for the one sheep that's lost, and maybe even doesn't know it's lost, but he cares enough to go searching. Look at how carefully God pays attention to your life, knowing the number of hairs on your head, knowing every little detail. Look how carefully he pays attention to the mess that's going on inside your heart. When life is just more than you know what to do with, and you don't even know what you should pray for, that the Spirit takes that big mess and presents it to your Father in heaven as the most perfectly acceptable prayer. He puts the best words in your mouth and the best motives in your heart. God cares for you. And I don't know which one of those pictures in the Bible you best relate with today. If you feel like somebody who's hurting because you've fallen, or somebody who's lost and you don't know which way to go and you don't know if anyone cares or is even looking, or if it seems like you're invisible to anybody who could care for you, or you think that God wouldn't blame, well, you wouldn't blame God if he just stopped paying attention to you. God sees you. God knows you. And the cross of Jesus is a reminder that God will always care for you. God will always care for you. So rest well tonight, my friends.